Good morning, church. Today, as we look at the concluding passage in Luke chapter 2, we see a glimpse of picture of Jesus in his early adolescence. Starts in Luke chapter 2, beginning in verse 41. Every year, Jesus' parents went to Jerusalem for the festival of the Passover. When he was 12 years old, they went up to the festival according to the custom. After the festival was over, while his parents were returning home, the boy Jesus stayed behind in Jerusalem, but they were unaware of it. Thinking he was in their company, they traveled on for a day. Then they began looking for him among their relatives and friends. When they did not find him, they went back to Jerusalem to look for him. After 3 days, they found him in the temple courts, sitting among the teachers, listening to them and asking them questions. Everyone who heard him was amazed at his understanding and his answers. And when his parents saw him, they were astonished. His mother said to him, "Son, why have you treated us like this? Your father and I have been anxiously searching for you." "Why were you searching for me?" he asked. "Didn't you know I had to be in my father's house?" But they did not understand what he was saying to them. Then he went down to Nazareth with them and was obedient to them. But his mother treasured all these things in her heart. And Jesus grew in wisdom and stature, in favor with God and man. I mean, it's such a unique scene, right? That there they were, they headed to Jerusalem as any good Jewish family would in celebration of the Passover feast. And then as they're heading home back to Nazareth, they realize Jesus isn't around them, and so they go searching back in Jerusalem for him. And sure enough, he's been in his father's house. And as they ask the question, well, why would you do this? Why would you fill us with such anxiety searching for you? Jesus' response is, "Why were you searching for me? Of course, I needed to be here." You know, as I think about this scene that must have been unfolding in this moment, I think about what must have been the busyness, what must have been like in Jerusalem at the Passover when all of the Jews who had been spread out throughout the known world came and made a pilgrimage back to the temple. And they feasted together as one people. I mean, it had to have been crazy, maybe like a Disneyland or a Disney World. And I think about when I'm in those positions, when I'm in those places where there's something that's expected, I oftentimes don't pause and reflect on what is most important. I don't always stop and think about and give time for the things that it's really about. And I can imagine this is maybe what happened with Mary and Joseph and Jesus when they went. That the need to complete the Passover feast and get everything ready together, the need to be surrounded by family and to meet with everyone and to take part in all the customs just as the law had lined out, had maybe caused their family to forego the opportunity to pause and to sit in the Father's house and to be reminded that the reason for the Passover is because of the Lord. And so Jesus takes the time to pause and to stop. I know for me that's oftentimes hard in my life. I don't always stop when I'm supposed to stop. I don't always pause when I needed to pause. And I'm reminded here, my favorite portion of this verse comes at the end there. It says, "But his mother treasured all these things in her heart." You know, Mary said that also after she had met with Simeon and Anna when she had presented Jesus to the temple in the previous passage. Sometimes we need to be reminded to pause and to treasure these things in our hearts. Maybe in the comment section today, God is maybe leading you. Maybe the Holy Spirit is speaking to your heart and telling you to pause and to treasure all that God has done. Or maybe even to treasure this passage, such a familiar passage. The need to pause and stop the busyness of the day and just sit in the presence of the Father. I'd love to hear from you in the comments section as to what God is saying to you, or how God has led you today to pause, or maybe the ways in which you worked into your day or the busyness of life, the opportunity to pause and to reflect and to treasure in your heart the things of God. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow as we tackle the beginning portion of Luke chapter 3.